Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we're back doing Swiss Magic Origins draft. Hangerback Walker, awesome open. It's worth a bunch of tickets, and it's a powerful card. Other notable picks in here, Separatist Void Mage, Suppression Bonds, Eorois's Champion, Deadbridge Shaman, Firefiend Elemental, both pretty good. Pretty solid picks all around in here, but easy bunch of tickets, playable in any deck. First pick. Hangerback Walker's just an amazing first pick. All right, well, I'm fine following up with Draga Invocation. This card has been just amazing for me in the format, and we're really not giving up anything that I care about too much otherwise. Lightning Javelin seems like a close second. I think Amprin Tactician is very good in, the green-white or white beatdown decks. But yeah, it just seems like a pretty clear invocation here. Okay, probably just Sky Snare Spider. It's a strong card. It's another 6-drop. Doesn't have the best synergy with invocation since just pretty much wins games on its own. Invocation tends to work well with cards like Hangerback Walker, though, that spit out 1,000,000 tokens. Although, since they fly, I guess it's kind of irrelevant, the must-be-blocked aspect. But, yeah, I think we just slam a Sky Snare Spider here. And once again, really nothing else of too much note in here. Rock Smaller and Titan Strength also being pretty good, but and Orchard Spirit, I guess, too. Okay. We can stay in green, take Titanic Growth, which I think is very good. Could take the Claustrophobia. Green-blue's been really good for me overall in the format, so I don't have a problem with that. For Flame Shadow Conjuring, rather, is also decent, but not the most exciting card, I guess. So, yeah, I think Titanic Growth's good, but I think I'm just going to take Claustrophobia. I mean, there's also Enshrouding Mist, which is good, but Claustrophobia is a pretty excellent removal spell, so I really don't have a problem taking it. And if it doesn't pan out, okay, I missed out on a Titanic Growth and an Enshrouding Mist. If it does pan out and we end up in blue, I'm going to be pretty happy I have a solid removal spell. Well, really happy to see green is so open. Seems like a nice time to take Naturalist. Yeah, I don't really like Nissa's Revelation in general. Although, to be honest, Sky Snare Spider is a pretty good one to find off of Revelation, but it's just not that great of a card overall. I like Fleshbag Marauder. I think Force Mage is more playable than I originally gave it credit for in maybe the first 15 drafts I did. But yeah, it's come to be a pretty nice card in this format with all the renown. Still taking Naturalist pretty clearly, I think. Okay, pretty easy Elvish Visionary. Nothing else too crazy good in here. Screeching Scab and Subterranean Scout and Goldforge Sentinel are playable. The rest are not so exciting or playable. But Visionary is a great card in green. Really happy to pick that up, actually. Interesting. So I can take... there's no blue picks of note. There's not a green pick I really care about. I don't think Hitchclaw Recluse is all that good. I could just speculate on Zendikar Incarnate. I think that card's pretty powerful. I've yet to play it, so a possible red-green deck. Fairly late Dragon Fodder as well. But I think Incarnate's pretty strong. I don't think it's insane, but it's something worth speculating on. All right, Mighty the Mass is a very good card in this format, so pretty happily picking that up. All right, tabled Firefiend Elemental. That might be the sign we're looking for to go into red. I could see that. None of these cards really matter. I feel like I'm not going to play Rambler. Not likely to play Scrapskin Drake. Maybe I just take a Servant. Although that tabling doesn't mean much. I could just cut red by taking Rambler, but passing Rambler's not really a sign that red's open anyway, so whatever. All right, some late white cards. I guess I'll take Tactics. All right, Conjuring. I mean, it's kind of cool with Naturalist. Kind of cool with Incarnate. It's actually really cool with Visionary. All right, we'll see. Yeah, 3 mana with Visionary, and you get to draw 2 cards. It's pretty cool. All right. Maybe Terrors. I don't know. Our sideboard is all the other colors. Right now, it does seem like green-red is ultimately going to be this deck's final direction, but we'll have to see. Alright, whatever. Psychic Rebuttal. Last pick, Healing Hand, so got some other colors going on in the sideboard. Although, I mean, we ended up with 3 blue picks, but only one of them is actually good, whereas 3 of our red picks are actually pretty good. Wow. Guiltleaf Winnower, huh? Well, is there anything else worth taking in here? Sentinel of Eternal Watch is pretty bonkers. This is already a tough... this is going to end up pretty tough. I mean, we could just take the Lightning Javelin. Kind of tempted to take Sentinel of Eternal Watch. Guiltleaf Winnower is good too, and I could move towards green-black. It just really did not feel like black was open. Saw a late Servant, which really doesn't mean anything. I could just take the Sentinel. It doesn't seem like white's super open, but we did see some late white cards. Sentinel strikes me as a card I can splash too, and Sentinel is just worlds better than Timberpack Wolf and Lightning Javelin on color with what we've got. And Guiltleaf Winnower just seems too deep black to comfortably pick here and hope to make black work. I feel like if I take Sentinel, I can attempt to make white work, and if white doesn't work, I just splash Sentinel, and I'm still happy. You can't really splash Guiltleaf Winnower. I'm going to take Sentinel. Interesting. We can take Undercity Troll. There's also Suppression Bonds. I kind of like the Troll. I think if anything, we're for sure green, and Undercity Troll is a pretty fantastic card. I think Suppression Bonds is good too. I do think Suppression Bonds is good, but I think I'm going to take the Troll just because we're for sure in green. I think by now I'm just going to sort by color. Probably just take out the Claustrophobia. So really the options are, yeah, do I want to go into red or do I want to go into white? If I do go into white, there's a chance I play the Kithian's Tactics, but I already have Draga Invocation, which I think is a lot better. Bounding Graces. Well, I do like that card. I think we're probably taking Leaf Gilder. There is Celestial Flare, but our curve we already have enough expensive stuff where I'm liking Leaf Gilder in this deck. So I think I'm just going to take that. I like Aspiring Aeronaut in blue and Bounding Graces for blue. And I like Celestial Flare, but I still think I'd prefer to have Leaf Gilder. Alright, Visionary. I'm fine taking these very playable green cards and going mostly green and then figuring it out from there. Like, otherwise I'm taking like an Enshrouding Mist over it or something, which isn't that exciting anyway. I mean, it's a good card, but not if you don't end up in white. Whereas Visionary, I'm just 100% playing. Okay, here's an actual pick choice. So I think we just take another Might of the Masses. Granted, there's another Claustrophobia in here, but red did not seem to be flowing good cards from this direction, but Might of the Masses still seems good to me. I can have a couple of them, especially if I don't end up with Titanic Growth and still be happy. Still works really well with the Hangerback Walker. Alright. Still trying to figure out that second color. As of now, I think Sentinel probably trumps all 3 of our red cards. And red wasn't flowing very well, like I said, this direction. Okay, I think Amperin Tactician is fine here. There's some good blue cards. I don't think I want a third Might of the Masses. I'm fine taking Tactician. Maybe we just move deeper white. There's not a red card that matters here. I already have 2 Might of the Masses. There are some blue cards that are good, but I think I'd rather just take this Tactician, which I think is actually fine for our deck too. Okay, Chief of the Foundry. Totem Guide Hartebeest, which currently finds nothing. Currently finds nothing. Chief of the Foundry, though, does it do anything? Yeah, it's pretty good with Hangerback Walker. It's not good with anything else, though. It's a 3-mana 2/3 at worst. I guess I'll take it. I don't love it, but it seems like something I can play. Blue is definitely flowing from this direction, but I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon now. We'll take the Titanic Growth here. Could take the Prickle Boar, but I'm going to take Growth. I've said it a few times, but I think the Might of the Masses and Titanic Growth are just absolutely phenomenal in this format. Really strong, really powerful cards. They always seem to go pretty late, too, surprisingly. You can really just double up on a Titanic Growth and win a game. All right, so this whole pack did not pull the trigger necessarily on a second color. I just want to move into white mostly because I think Sentinel is so strong. But we're definitely green, and our green looks good. Our green shell is very powerful. Good card advantage stuff. All right, Cleric of the Forward Order tabling is actually very nice. I think this card is good. Good against aggressive mirrors. Just getting a bear that gains life can be really nice in some matchups, so pretty happily taking that. I think Ram Roller is, obviously good with Chief of the Foundry and good with Hangerback Walker, but I'd rather have a Cleric, I think. Let's pull the trigger on white. I think we're going to be mostly green and then end up splashing white, depending on what flows out of pack 3. I mean, I guess I can take a Valor. It's actually kind of busted with Hangerback Walker, isn't it? Your Hangerback has like 5 counters on it. It dies. All your guys get +5/+5. It's kind of cool. I mean, I'm not playing anything else in here anyway, so might as well. All right. I don't know why blue is open from this direction. I still am going to speculate that it would not be open out of pack 3. But it could also be that just no blue really was opened out of pack 1. But if you'll recall, the blue cards I saw out of pack 1 were Claustrophobia, pick 4, and then Deep Sea Terror and Psychic Rebuttal, and that was it. Maybe some Screeching Scabs with much better picks out of the pack, but it certainly did not seem like blue was open out of pack 1, which leads me to believe it will not be open out of pack 3. But wonky things do happen, so sometimes it's hard to predict exactly what's going to happen in a draft. I guess we'll take Heavy Infantry. It's not a very exciting card, but it's playable. Prefer not to play it, but if I have to, I will. All right, Aether Grid, sure. So we don't need a ton of playables out of pack 3. We need 6. I think that's doable. What does this deck need? It needs removal. We have combat tricks, but our removal is almost non-existent. It's pretty much like Draga Invocation, which really can't be considered removal. I would say Sentinel of the Eternal Watch, you could probably consider a form of removal. Second to last pick, Ring Warden Owl. Well, maybe no one is in blue. I think I would still prefer to play... white. I guess we'll see. Like, we did pass the 7-drop Sphinx, but that 7-drop Sphinx is not that insane. I think it's pretty good. I've used it as a finisher to some success a couple times, but I don't think that it's like busted or anything. Okay. Here, I think we're just going to take a Suppression Bonds. This deck kind of needs removal anyway. Passing a Throwing Knife, which I actually think is good in this deck with Double Visionary. It's kind of nice. And we're also passing, I guess not that much else. So I feel pretty good about getting the Suppression Bonds here. It's a nice, strong card. All right. Wow. All right. Getting the white picks now. Yeah, I think we take Consul's Lieutenant. Granted, it's white intensive, but it's a powerful card. Nice 2-drop. I like Knightly Valor a lot too, but I think Consul's Lieutenant is just very strong. I don't think we're going to wheel that Knightly Valor, but that's okay. Lieutenant is very good. I want to take the Titanic Growth. I kind of feel like we need actual more creatures, so as much as it saddens me, I guess I take the Charging Griffin. I could take Guardian Automaton, which is reasonable with Chief of the Foundry. In general, a card I think is pretty mediocre, although Charging Griffin is definitely mediocre too. Good red cards here. Problem with Griffin, it doesn't block well. I think Automaton really does that nicely. Really just blocks well, buys you time to get to late game, which this deck actually feels like it needs more than beating down, to be honest. This doesn't feel like a deck that beats down. It can beat down, but I think I'm actually taking Automaton. We've got some 3/6 drops that are going to be pretty essential. So I think I'd rather take the Automaton, get something that buys us some time. All right, here I'm probably fine taking Enshrouding Mist. I could take another Automaton. Because, I mean, I guess I don't want to play Valor. I'd prefer to not play these two cards, if possible. So I could take a second Automaton. I could take Enshrouding Mist. I think Enshrouding Mist is a good combat trick. Works really well with your Renown guys, but we only have 2 of them. Not terribly excited about taking an Automaton. But I think we will actually take it. I'm not thrilled about having a couple of them, but they're fine. All right, I think we take Grasp here. I think it's more playable than Heavy Infantry and Valor. Which makes it fine. All right, Celestial Flare versus Force Mage. Removal is currently 2 Mighty the Masses, Titanic Growth, Combat Tricks, Suppression Bonds, and Dragon. Yeah, we probably take Flare, although I think Force Mage is very good in this deck. It fits our curve well. It lets us go Lieutenant into Force Mage or Troll into Force Mage, but I still think I'm going to take the removal here. Jessian Thief is quite good. Ascetic is more of a sideboard card. We already have Naturalist. I think I'm going to hate this Jessian Thief. I'm just not going to play Battle Priest. I'm certainly not going to play Pilgrimage. I think Grasp is pretty good in this deck. Even putting it on Automaton's not the worst. They kill it in response, and at least you get some life out of the deal. But we'll see. Just need like 1 more creature, and we basically have a deck. Although, I mean, I could run Heavy Infantry in a pinch. I wouldn't have too many problems with that, other than the fact that it's not a very good card. All right, Knight of the Pilgrim's Road seems like a nice pickup for us. Fits our curve well. A little more exciting to me than Angel's Tomb, although Angel's Tomb would be a 4/4 with the Chief of the Foundry. But like I said, we're not... I like that Knight just trades. We don't look like a beatdown deck. So if we're not a beatdown deck, I'd rather have something that can trade or be aggressive, whereas Angel's Tomb can essentially only be aggressive. So let's take the Knight. Pretty boring picks here. Brawler's Plate, not likely to happen, but maybe. It's probably slightly more exciting than Heavy Infantry. It's pretty clunky, but I prefer to not play it. I wouldn't mind another creature, I guess. That would be nice. Gather the Pack. Maybe I'd rather play Gather than Brawler's Plate. Do I have any value out of having creatures in my graveyard? I don't. It just finds... it's not that good. None of these cards are very good. I'll take the Aerial Volley for sideboard. I mean, Read the Bones is very good, but I'm talking actual cards we're going to play. I think Aerial Volley is a nice sideboard card for us. We don't have a ton of reach besides the Sky Snare Spider. I don't think we have any flyers. I guess Hangerback Walkers can kind of be one. I mean, this is a deck, and I think it's okay. There's some powerful cards in here. Main issue with this deck, I don't know, maybe still a little bit removal light. But we have some big finishers in Dragon, Invocation, Sentinel, and Sky Snare Spider. All 3 of our 6 drops are very good at ending games. And Hangerback Walker in the late game, I imagine, is pretty insane too. I think Scout is more annoying than Scab. I was just thinking, with double Might of the Masses, Grasp of the Hieromancer, Titanic Growth. Well, Hitchclaw Recluse, actually. Yeah, I was going to say I was going to play the Heavy Infantry, but at this point, I'd probably play Recluse and be pretty content with that. I mean, yeah, there's Auramancer for Suppression Bonds and Grasp, but I think I would rather have the Recluse. We still don't really look like a beatdown deck. We look like a deck that, like I said, can win via beatdown or more likely win through the mid to late game, just good value plays. Be it Hangerback Walker, Sky Snare Spider, Jiraga Invocation, Sentinel, the Eternal Watch. So, yeah, this deck is just fine. Nothing amazing. Would have been nice to see some of those Citadel Castellans, but that's okay. Got some powerful cards. Seems like we picked up most of our power cards out of pack 1. Didn't really pick up much of green at all out of this pack besides the Hitchclaw Recluse, so it might have just been not that much good green opened, perhaps. I actually ended up liking, I kind of like Chief of the Foundry in this deck with double Automaton and Hangerback Walker. I think this card could actually do some good work for us. This would have been, I was going to say this would have been a good deck for Rogue's Passage or Foundry of the Consuls, but I actually think that's not true. We have quite a bit of double white that we need early, and then we have the double green that we need late. So we're going to err on the side of more white than green, just because we don't need much green in the beginning. I think we're going to do a 9-8 split. And other than that, yeah, I can't rate this deck super highly, but we've got some power cards in here. Sentinel and Dragon Invocation are huge. Yeah, I guess we've got ourselves a deck. Do we even have a sideboard plan? Not really. Aerial Volley is about it. So not much out of the sideboard department. We could have made a blue deck work. I'm still happy with the white cards we ended up with. I think Lieutenant. I think our power white cards, even though white was getting cut, that we ended up with, more than make this deck just fine. Like, all 4 of these are playable white cards always. And Lieutenant, Suppression Bonds, Sentinel, and Celestial Flare are... Well, I guess some people could argue Celestial Flare is not up to snuff as the rest of those cards, but I still think for this deck, Celestial Flare is pretty important. Yeah, we made white work just fine, and I think this deck is actually pretty good looking. So let's go 9-8 split white to green, since we have more double white necessity than double green, and we don't even need double green until late. So, okay. Here's the deck. Pretty good. We'll run it like this, and we'll see you round 1.